Hi, good morning, everybody. So today I am joined again by my very good friend, fellow adoptee and coach to adoptees, Daniela Manucci. How are you doing this morning, Daniela?
I'm doing very well, thank you indeed.
Great.
And hello to everyone in the audience. Hello there.
Great to see everybody there. Or here, this is going to be a video, but it's also going to be it's a Facebook Live, but it's also going to be a podcast as well. So hello, listeners listening to this podcast a little bit later on. So today we're talking about healing. This is the second of our healing in our series on healing. And today Daniela's going to be sharing some of her healing story. And let's just get into it. So healing, that's such a huge word, isn't it? Where do we start? Kind of at the beginning, I guess.
Yeah. Let's start with realizing that we're always healing, even if we've got our foot on the brake and one on the accelerator because we're afraid. And it never stops, and we're never done with it because we're always deepening our connection to our own spirit, to the diamond within us, our pure awareness. We keep expanding and deepening our own sense of presence.
Okay. So yeah, what that says to me, okay, because these are clearly quite big topics and big concepts. Do you mean by that I'm a simple, more left brainy kind of a guy, I think, and you bring a stronger right brain, far more softer take on this? What I hear in that is that healing is the degree to which our perfect diamond-like essence is clear to us moment to moment. Is that what you mean?
Yes and no. So yes, because there is a memory inside of us, because at a really deep core level, we do know who we are. However, the experiences of our life, the way we've grown up, has contributed to our behaviors, our feelings, our emotions, our beliefs, how we see the world, what kind of lenses where we have, if let's take the example, someone's adopted, okay, their mom gives them up at birth, and they're adopted into this wonderful, nurturing, loving family where the parents they're just very present, and they're working on themselves also, like they're very aware of their feelings. That baby is going to grow up very healthy, and they're not going to have a lot of issues, right? They have that initial abandonment, which will get healed through the process of their childhood with the nurturing that they get, or they may still have that issue. And then you have another scenario of a baby being given up at birth, and maybe in foster care, like myself, in an orphanage. Sorry, I wasn't in foster care, I was in an orphanage. And then being adopted into a family that was highly, or let's say medium dysfunctionality, where the mother isn't present in her own self, in her own body, in her own awareness. So she's not present to her baby. She's not giving that baby that mirroring, right? So that child is going to grow up with a lot of gaps, emotional gaps of I'm unworthy, I'm not good enough, all the stories that we tell ourselves. So that's what I mean. It's like the diamond is there. We know it at a spirit level, at a soul level. But then we come into these bodies where, you know, it hurts to be born. It hurts to be around people who are wounded and who are dysfunctional and who don't know how to love us and embrace us. So that's what I mean.
Okay. So are you talking really about the difference between the trauma of relinquishment, which you've got over, to the trauma of growing up in a dysfunctional family? Is that where you
I think both. I think for the sake of the audience, let's just say that unless parents are very aware, there's going to be a lot of wounding. There's going to be a good amount of wounding. I think this is like part of humanity. This is part of healing who we are as spirits. So yeah, is there that gap, that deficit in the baby? Yeah, there is. But that can be healed through a nurturing relationship with the mother and father, adoptive mother and father.
Okay. So what's your healing journey look like, Daniela?
So my healing journey was pretty complex because I had that relinquishment. I was in an orphanage for almost 2 years before I was adopted, and the nuns weren't allowed to pick us up because they didn't want us to be bond. They didn't want us to bond to them because then we were going to be given up, and that was going to be that's how they thought back then. Then I went into an adoptive family that was brutally violent, physically, emotionally, psychologically. And, you know, when I left, I ran away. I was 19 years old and I ran away, and I was limping. I was limping through my life. And then I realized, wow, life isn't working for me. Things are going pretty badly. My relationships were poor. I had found my biological mother, and I found half of a family on her side, half brother, and cousins and auntie and aunt, 2 aunts. And that was also very dysfunctional. So then I had to deal with that, and I had to walk away from that, because that whole thing about filling that gap for me, about everything's going to turn out perfectly once I find out who I came from and who they are, who this woman is, you know. And it actually didn't turn out that way at all. I had to get really serious about the dysfunctional relationships that I was in, whether it was with friends, whether it was teachers, professors, boyfriends, girlfriends, you know, my friends, my mates. Everything was just not going well, and I was sabotaging myself big time. I was working in the fashion industry, and I had big jobs, and then I would lose them, you know. Like once I had a job in Austria, in Vienna, for eyewear, and I woke up that morning with pink eye, with conjunctivitis. It was just like some aspect of myself just couldn't succeed. So I had to go through a lot of unwinding the mess that I was in. And I'm not ashamed to say I was pretty messed up, you know, and because I was also suffering, my body, my biology was suffering, my health was suffering. I was like 27 years old, and I had chronic fatigue syndrome and Epstein-Barr virus, and I was still pushing through. So I started studying body work, shiatsu. Then I went to traditional Chinese medicine. Then I went into mind-body medicine and into my counseling studies, because I was just like enamored with what I was feeling internally, and my emotional, my psychological state. You know, my body was reflecting what was going on with me at a deep emotional level. And so I had to find my way out of that. And I did, then I had to do my own healing, my own counseling, and all of that to take off the layers of being unworthy. Because I told myself, I was being told that I was unworthy. I was being told that I didn't deserve to be alive. I was told very extreme things in my adoptive family. So that's why I was limping for such a long time, because I believed them. And so I had to get myself out from under those beliefs. And it took time, because I was, and here's the thing, Simon, I was very programmed and conditioned to believe what I was believing. And the guilt that I had as I was going through my own healing process was tremendous, because I made up the story. Well, I was given up at birth, so I was already unworthy. I wasn't worth anything. Otherwise, my mother would have kept me. And then I was adopted into an adoptive family that told me I was rubbish. I was like, I had the worth of, I should have been out on the streets. I would live out on the streets. I wasn't worth anything. So I had to, and I was very dedicated to believing that, because I didn't want to make them wrong. I was heavily conditioned. So that was a huge part. Yeah, that was a huge part of what I went through. And I had brilliant people helping me. They were amazing. And so I was being helped to realize that I'm a soul in gestation. I'm a spirit. And that took a while to get my head around. And then I started to finally feel it. The more junk I took out of my system, the more I felt who I was underneath.
Yeah. Wow. So you first went to perhaps because you were in fashion, you first went to the kind of a body healing before you went. So you went for a body healing, and before you went internal, you were working on the outside before you started working on the inside. Was that
fair? Yeah, exactly. This is a great point. Thank you for pointing that out. I was working at Elizabeth Art, and I was discovered by this cosmetic beauty photographer. And so that whole thing went into the whole modeling, and then I left for Milan, and I was over the moon to go to Milan, because I wanted to find my biological heritage, right? And I really believed that if I made enough money and I got to grand fame, my adoptive parents would love me. I would get what I needed. And then that fell apart, it seems, because when I was doing really well, they just trashed me. Now I was, instead of being a failure, I started becoming very successful, and they trashed me. And that's really did my head in. I was like, what? Yeah. And that's when and then it was the illness, and then it was the Epstein-Barr virus. And working in big cities, Milano, going to Rome, then going up to London, then going down to the Amalfi Coast, living there. I thought the more beauty I could find, the more wealth I could attain, the more fame I could have. And I was miserable.
So you were chasing it. You were chasing it on the outside. So that's familiar with me. I chasing it on the outside, chasing it in business. We're feeling empty on the inside, and therefore all our focus goes on the outside, thinking that the outside is going to fulfill us.
Right, exactly.
And that's going to do the healing.
Outside in. Yeah, it's the outside in approach, and where accomplishments and accolades are part of our experience, but that's just keeping the ego in place. It's just that whole outside in, and I always need more of something to feel better, which makes us feel even more miserable, because after 10 minutes, it's like a drug. When the drug or the drink wears off, you're back to square one. And I had to like really deprogram myself and like deplatform myself in some way to get out of that wounded ego, so that I could come into a place where I didn't have to prove my worth. I didn't have to compete. I didn't have to win at all costs. I was pure essence, like you, like everyone listening, everyone in the world.
So I heard this explained by one of my mentors yesterday as this is finding who we truly are is a mining process, not a manufacturing process. So it's about going through the rubbish to find the diamond underneath it, rather than to try and make ourselves a diamond. It's what we already. Healing is seeing how perfect we always were. We just haven't seen it.
Right. That's that perception, right? That's taking those glasses off, taking those rose-colored glasses, whatever that color is, off. And really, and it's a feeling. And it, for me, it became a feeling. It became a sense deep inside. And now all I work on is my inner, because that's the key of where we need to get to, is when you feel that resonance inside of you, then you realize. That's why all this thing about manifesting and the law of attraction, why people are just so disillusioned, they're so done with it, because it's not about wanting and desiring, it's about being that energetic resonance, that frequency that you're vibrating at, that realizes that nothing is separate from me. I am everything. Not the ego, I am everything. Look at me, how great I am. No, it's like, I am spirit and form. I am the God presence. You are the God presence. So it's a resonance. But you have to undo that stuff. And
that's what you see as healing, is it? Is that how you undoing is the healing?
Yeah, for me, it was taking off, unpeeling, peeling away the layers, washing the graffiti off the wall, because I was identifying myself as the graffiti instead of the white wall underneath it. So for me, it's peeling away layers, everything that I'm not, and getting to the shininess of the brilliance, and seeing it and feeling it and knowing that as my true identity. Like with yourself, with the business, oh, I'm not that.
We're enough. I heard one of my mentors talking about that on his podcast this week. We're enough. So we're enough. Like we're enough as we are. But then I thought, well, we're enough, but that doesn't really say it, does it? With the whole universe, like we're enough is kind of entry level, is it? We're enough is the step to something much bigger than enough. You've got enough, and then you've got infinite potential.
Right. And it's a knowing, it's an awareness. And you're right, it is an entry level. I am enough. Like, I don't have to prove myself to anyone. And also the competitiveness I'm starting to really see now is that every person is unique. And you can actually enjoy and be like, oh, wow, I really like what they're doing. And then feel into what is it that they're doing that I'm attracted to, and how can I bring that experience and experience myself in a way that they're manifesting, where it just opens up more doors to who I am. So then I don't need to compete with Joe or Anna, you know. It's like I see what they're doing. I feel it inside of me. I see, okay, I like that. I can see what that is, and I can see the way they're bringing it out and be that. And the competition drops there, because everyone is unique. So why are we comparing ourselves? Right?
I mean, that's part of the conditioning, isn't it? So it's a habit that we're brought up in. You know, from you know, Serie A, which is the football league in the football league in Italy, is, you know, to the effort to the champions, you know, the Premiership and the Championship and league tables in schools, and yeah, we're brought up to the, you know, the top 100 richest guys in the world, or the FTSE 100. Like, the whole world is full of comparison. You know, I get 6 out of 10, or, you know, 6 out of 10 on my maths test, or, you know, for me, like, was I going to pass the entrance exam to get into the school to be with my best friend who passed the entrance exam? You know, the whole thing is about comparison. Comparison is everywhere. So it's conditioned into us.
It is, and the positive thing, if you use comparisons in the right way, it can be constructive instead of destructive. And for most people, it's still destructive, because that's where society is. Society vibrates at that level. A lot of society vibrates there, and so you may feel, okay, I am the diamond. Simon and Daniela are telling me that I'm the diamond. I do feel that. And then I go out to the pub at night, or I go out to my athletic, whatever, you know, I'm in training, I'm practicing, or I go out somewhere else and do something else. And then you feel that energetic quality and you start aligning with it. It's an energetic quality that we're aligning with that says, oh yeah, that's right. That's how reality really is. But it's not. And that's why we're doing these, because we want to flip reality of what it's been on its head.
Yeah. So this is about seeing, not doing. It's the seeing that flips things on its head, is it?
It's the awareness.
Yeah.
It's
awareness is being aware is seeing. Is that the same thing?
You can see something, but unless you embrace it and you work with it, you work through it, because you could see something and have judgment about it. The judgment's just going to close you into a tunnel. You're not going to be able to expand or have any awareness with that. You need to see it, feel it in your system, feel how you're affected by it, what it's doing to you, breathe it through, be with it. You're embracing it, and then allowing it, the learning experience, to move through you. That's the awareness, you know, so you can see it, feel it, be with it, experience it, and be like, oh yeah, no, that's not who I am.
I heard something great about that this morning. He said the difference between explaining and experiencing. So I'm explaining, all right, we just need to see it, and you're talking about experiencing. So you're talking about seeing it, feeling it, moving through it, getting something in our bones. So it's the difference between a kind of like a good, something that sounds like a good idea. Oh, this diamond sounds like a good idea, to actually having that an embodied understanding that we are all perfect underneath the trauma that we've been through, and the traumatic feelings that that we've experienced and the trauma that we still experience.
Yes,
No,
and that we've
underneath those thoughts.
identified ourselves from. We take an identity from that, and that's why in the world of healing, when people haven't done their work, they're very quick at blaming and saying, "Oh, look, you're still stuck in your stuff." That's just blaming someone. That doesn't help. Oh, look, that's you're in this wounded identity. Yeah, I'm in a wounded identity. I've been dramatically wounded. And that's what I'm feeling. I feel that as myself. Are you going to help me come out of it in a way that's loving and gentle and embracing? Or are you just going to judge me and make me go even deeper into my wounded experience? So there has to be a high place of non-judgment, like deep caring and compassion for the stuff that people have been through, their journeys. And all that unwinding, all that pulling off the layers so that you can really get to the identity of who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the excavation piece, the mining piece.
Yeah.
The seeing.
And we don't need to get stuck in it. Sorry?
We don't need to get stuck in it. We were talking about that briefly before we came on, before I started the live, didn't we? That a lot of people seem to gather in places to express their trauma, really.
Mm-hmm. Right. And grouping together through, it's one thing to have camaraderie in trauma-based reactions and feelings and life sucks and all of that. But if you're going to be in a group of people and you're going to swim in it and you're just going to drown each other and keep bringing each other down, there's no elevation energetically and spiritually, or like with awareness. You know, I had mentioned that book to you that Carolyn Miss had written many years ago called Why People Don't Heal and How They Can. And I remember that when I was working in the hospital in oncology, it was like I was seeing people that were just commiserating with each other and just feeding off of their wounds instead of being like, okay, yeah, I have these experiences and how do I come out of it? How do I elevate myself? So that's where we need to be really careful. Is it real compassion? Because real compassion isn't, it can be soft and loving and kind, but it's also, it's very direct. And if someone is truly compassionate, they're not going to play around in the drowning experience and just pulling other people down with their stuff. They're going to be like, no, I'm going forward and I'm healing. Because I know that another reality exists and I want to experience that.
Yeah. Wow. Because as we say that, I think about the different groups I'm a part of and how they have different dynamics, and I know which one I'm more drawn to. And the ones I struggle with. Yeah.
Right. And you're not about keeping an identity around your wounds. You're about let's get ourselves together and thrive.
Yeah. It's
Me
called
too.
Thriving Adoptees. Yeah. For a name.
Exactly.
For a reason. Because I've been in the darkness and I didn't see much. I didn't see much.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Turn the light on, right?
Yeah, turn the
right.
light on. So that's, guess what we're trying to do here is trying to turn a few lights on. Turn a few lights on and then people will see more clearly. But we live in this world where it's all about doing. Okay, so we're just going to, with these interviews, we're just trying to turn the lights on for
To
people,
being.
and hope that helps people see more clearly.
Yeah, beautiful, Simon. Thank you.
Thank you. See you again soon.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you for
Bye.
being here. Bye.
Thank you for listening.